retraining for older people, training for young people, and all the rest of it, and yet have these providers that are not transparent, not accountable, nobody's seeing the books. You're saying that they're in the right financial situation. I mean, is this another situation like Brilliant? You know, where you've got people that companies that are using what is after all public money half the time, you know, to go under and not provide the service that they need to. And why I want to know who they're accountable to, or what we can do in terms of, you know, coming down on the event is because we cannot have providers of education by young people in the West Midlands, by people who are, by companies who are not accountable to anybody, who just run on the basis of the dollar, the yen and the pound. So if you tackle that, that would be really useful in my mind.
Okay, yes, I can answer that. I'll try and be brief because there's quite a lot there. BMET are a college as opposed to a private training provider, which means that actually their status is sort of a bit of both. The reality is that when it suits politicians or government to call it a public sector body, that's what they do. And when it suits them to call it a private sector organisation, that's what they do. And it's actually sort of in the middle. What we should be doing is ensuring that they get taken back into the public sector, pure and simple, and that's what actually resolves a lot of this. In terms of the specific situation here, you are absolutely right, it is a disgraceful decision. In terms of how it will affect students in that area, I will be honest, the first thing that I thought when I heard this news was, what right has a college in Birmingham to close the only college in Stanbridge? The fact that it owns it is irrelevant in this, and I'm still trying to do what I can around the legal aspect of that, because I think the law is very, very shaky as to exactly what they've done. The only other thing is, let's make sure we get a Labour government very, very soon who will provide a lifelong education service, and I've already talked to Mr Corbyn about making sure that colleges are brought back into public sector, and it is on the horizon, although it's slightly more complicated than schools, so it would be slightly further down the line, but it is on the horizon.
Steve?
Yeah, Steve, this is really nice. I come from Stourbridge. I know that college very well. My mum taught there, and I walked with you on Saturday around the streets that I used to walk on, you know, so I do know its history. I do know what happened to Stourbridge, and it's been deindustrialised, and the Worcestershire industrial belt has disappeared. So it leaves students, especially in that FE sector, with the absolute need to go to get advanced education, because they can't drop back to, especially if they're males, into the old apprenticeship system. I mean, the FE colleges used to provide technical education, like Orange, not doing the college, and these kids are these young people who have to travel either to two of the sites. I mean, what I was surprised about, and perhaps you could advise me about, on that demonstration on Saturday, I was a little disappointed that there wasn't more young people on that to know. Maybe they have other activities, and I just wonder why that was. And secondly, I mean, political leadership in that part of the world, there was one or two people on the left, but I mean, I thought the bloody council of Dudley been on that demo line because it's their facility that's been crushed, like, you know. So I am a bit disappointed that the campaigns have got a very short timeline, we should say. But where there's a real mess of land, you know, the only benefits as I can see that's going to come out of this is the old Lookout School is going to grab that land, those facilities, and expand the private sector in Stonehenge, because it sits there, they're adjacent, you know, to the and they have your own line, everything wants to know. So I hope that my contribution is put a bit of a thing like that. You know, I do think it's going to be a tremendous amount of young people in Stonehenge. Thanks.
So in terms of, yes, you're very right about the school next door. They are almost certainly the people that will be taking it on. That was made fairly clear from a very early stage, so it makes it, to my mind, even more disgraceful that you go from a an FE school, a college that caters to everybody, to a selective fee-paying school. It's a state school, which I've never heard of a fee-paying state school, but it is still a selective fee-paying school. Makes it disgraceful to me. In terms of the young people, we have tried to engage the students, and some of them have engaged at points. But in all honesty, most of those are probably coming to the end of the course, and then they don't think about it. And just in relation to Dudley Council, you say it's disappointing that they weren't there. I would agree with you. Do you know what's even more disappointing? They refused to allow us to put posters up or leave leaflets in the library. They had been instructed that they were not allowed to let us do that. So it tells you what sort of landscape that we're working in. In terms of sort of the who has the say in all of this, the one other thing I ought to say is the FE Commissioner is the one who started this process off. He instructs governors who then sort of make a decision, but whether they're free to make whatever decision they like is totally different. One of the real problems is there isn't really an actual accountable person in all of this, because there's so many people who say we're only doing what we were told, which is a horrendous situation. But I agree with you about how it's going to affect Stourbridge. Our fallback position now is to try and stop being meant from being allowed to sell it out of FE, and at least try and delay that, so that we can maybe look whether, once there is a change in local, in combined authority mayor or in Parliament, whether we can then bring it back in as further education.
What with the nation is they made a £4.5 million investment about 4 years ago, right?
6.5.
It isn't though it's tumbling down and needs demolishing. It's a brand spanking, from walking from to marketing size.
Thank you. No other questions? No. The next item will be a report on the LGBT education situation, Anderton Park School. So